What does it mean to have a carbon footprint?
It means the amount of area available to sustain somebody's lifestyle and how much you're putting into the environment, just you personally. So your carbon footprint is your impact on the environment and how resources need to sustain your lifestyle.
Do you know how to calculate your carbon footprint?
You calculate your water usage and the amount, or the distance traveled in like automobiles or planes, basically transportation, and pretty much like how much energy your household uses.
Do you know what your carbon footprint is?
I think it's 6.3.
Are you aware of how your energy usage affects the planet?
Yes, and it's hard to make adjustments to your lifestyle, but hopefully, I'm trying to make an effort, so hopefully it works.
What does having a large carbon footprint affect?
It affects not only your local environment, but the environment on a global scale. So basically, if everybody had your personal lifestyle, then you would need like X amount of planets to sustain that lifestyle. So basically, if Americans live how they do, if everybody in the world lived how Americans did, then we would need like 5 planets to sustain all of that.
Like for each person? Or
just for like global population, I think.
How does one reduce his or her carbon footprint?
You can use low flush toilets or low pressure shower heads, or have, I think, gray water filters, and gray water is basically our used water, so you're just like filtering it for use again. And I think there are a few more things, but I forgot.
A carbon footprint is the measure that my personal measure of how much energy I use in my everyday life.
Do you know how to calculate your carbon footprint?
I'm sure there's websites out there that can help me with that.
You've never like tried to calculate them?
No. It affects the environment for sure. It's having a large carbon footprint like promotes more like global warming and issues such as that.
Okay, and how does one reduce his or her carbon footprint?
Just like simple things, like unplugging like small electronics or turning off the light when you're really not using it. Maybe not using as much heat in the winter, air conditioning in the summer, stuff like that.
What does it mean to have a carbon footprint?
That would be how much. That's how much, I guess, you leave behind. In a way, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like how much, how many resources you use and how much you're leaving behind as like waste and stuff, I guess.
Okay, do you know how to calculate your carbon footprint?
I did it in a class one time, online.
Yeah, there's a lot of websites for it.
You can do it online.
Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know what your personal carbon footprint is?
I don't, but I did do one of those things online, and it said that to sustain my type of living, it was going to take, if everyone lived like I did, it was going to take 6.5 worlds. So.
Are you aware of how your energy usage affects the planet?
Personally?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say I'm aware.
Okay. What does having a large carbon footprint affect?
How the generations after us, how it compromises their way of living.
And how does one reduce his or her carbon footprint?
Go green.
Go white.
Your carbon footprint is a measure of your energy consumption. Not only does it affect your electricity usage, but it also includes your water and fuel consumption. Your carbon footprint is the area needed to absorb carbon emissions generated by your home energy use and transportation.
You can calculate your carbon footprint by going online to www.conservation.org/carbon-calculator and www.myfootprint.org. My carbon footprint is 6.7 tons of CO2.
My carbon footprint is 6.9 tons.
I didn't think I had that much impact on the environment because I tend to live a pretty sustainable lifestyle, but I contribute a lot to the environment based on my electricity and my fuel usage for my car, trains, buses, so on.
I didn't think my energy consumption really affected our Earth as much as I found out doing this project. Apparently, if everybody lived my lifestyle on the planet, we would need about 4.37 Earths.
And mine turned out to be that if everyone had my lifestyle, we would need 5.56 Earths. Having a large carbon footprint affects the environment because of all the CO2 you're releasing into the environment and how much land and it'll take to recycle that CO2. So it really contributes a lot to global warming, and that affects air quality a lot of the time and the environment and the climate because of the toxins you're releasing and how much resources you're taking from the environment.
There are several things people can do to reduce his or her carbon footprint. And one thing is to buy organic and local.
Another is to pay attention to packaging. So generally it's best if you go to stores that use a minimum of packing, because then you're not putting a lot of plastics or paper in the landfills.
And another thing to do is to not use plastic water bottles.
You can energy-proof your home, which essentially is adding extra insulation in your roof, because a lot of times insulation isn't placed there and a lot of heat escapes from there, and then you're constantly using more heat than you need to. Another thing to do is to get double glazed panes of glass, because those will keep your heat in also. And use low flow water faucets.
Window shopping instead of actually shopping is also a really good thing to do, because sometimes people just impulsively buy things without really needing them. So it's a good thing to just make sure that you really, really need something before you actually buy it.
Switch your water heaters to vacation mode. A lot of people don't know that this exists, but when you're away from home for an extended period, they build water heaters to have an option where it'll keep the water in the tank warm, but not super hot. So you're going to save energy from heating the water, and you don't really need to have extra hot water all the time because you're not using it.
Also, unplugging your electronics when they're not in use, like your laptop chargers or coffee makers, cell phone chargers, camera chargers, iPod chargers, the list goes on and on. It'll really save a lot of energy if you just unplug things that you're not using.
Using cold water will reduce your carbon footprint because it uses a lot of energy to heat up water. And using cold water versus warm water for your washing isn't really that much difference. Your clothes, your laundry will be fine.
Lastly, remember to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Go green.
Go white!